Nate and I debate. Nate, of course, spent over a decade on the NFL playing field, taking hits from incredible linebackers. I spent over a decade in a press box just talking about those people. All right, let's get into it, Nate. Here we go. Number one. Yesterday, you came on the show and we went at it a little bit because you said the Miami Dolphins were set up to have a dynasty in the 2020s. Here's the statement. Tell me if you still agree on it. Of all the teams in the AFC East, the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Patriots, it is still Miami, you think, who is set up for success over the next 10 years the best way.
Yeah, you're right, Peter. I used to take hits from linebackers, and now I take hits from you. But let's get this going. I'm going to say, yeah, you see the shirt I'm rocking, man? Of course, it's the Dolphins. Yesterday, you laughed at me. You said, Nate, dynasty talk for real, but just think about the parallels. Just break this down. All right, so you remember the Brady and Bledsoe. You're familiar with that situation, right? It was the OG, the vet, and the young pup that nobody really expected much from. I know it's not really the same thing with Tua because he has a little bit more clout behind him with the college career he had, but you really have to think about it. There's a similarity there. Ryan Fitzpatrick, the OG, and then Tua. And what about the coaching staff? Parcells and Belichick. Parcells, the coaching legend, and Belichick, the young, hungry coach trying to establish his own name. All right, what about the similarities between Miami's coaching situation? Bill Belichick, the coaching legend now that he is, and Flores, right? The defensive coordinator who's trying to establish his own name. You see what I'm saying there? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And not to mention, they both were 5-11. Last year, Dolphins 5-11, and the Patriots 5-11 before they won that first Super Bowl. I'm just saying, there's a lot of parallels, and they have the pieces of the foundation in place, Trakes.
You're basing it on hope and on hypotheticals. I'm basing it on what I see. I think it's Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills have their quarterback. We know that Josh Allen is their guy. They've got a great defense. We saw it take them to the playoffs last year. And the Buffalo Bills have a coach and a GM, Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, that are on the same page and have been for the past 4 years, building a team that is ready to compete. I know it's the chalk answer to say the Buffalo Bills, but Nate, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's the Buffalo Bills.
I respect it. I'm not mad at it. I respect it.
Hey, let's go. Number two. Here we go. We do another question here. Looking at all the running backs last year, all right, the guys who didn't finish in the top 10, all right, look at some of these guys here who didn't finish in the top 5. We've got these guys who did. Okay. Which running back not on this list will finish in the top 5 in 2020 in rushing yards?
I'm going with Jay twice. Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was a beast last year. I think we forget just how good he looked on the field. He didn't look like your typical rookie. I mean, my dude was out there running physical. He had 1,100 yards. He landed right around the top 10, but I think he could have ended up leading the league if he would have stayed healthy. He missed 3 games with a shoulder injury. I just feel like Josh Jacobs, for what they're building in Vegas now for the Raiders, with the guys that they added, think about the speed of Henry Ruggs. It's going to open things up for him in the running game. This guy is an absolute beast, and he's just getting started scratching the Microsoft surface of his career. Shregs, what do you say?
I've got another second-year running back, and it's a guy out of Penn State, and it's not the one that everyone talks about, who is a third-year running back now in Saquon. I think Miles Sanders, in a full season healthy with the Eagles, is going to have an outstanding season. I don't think everyone at home knows Miles Sanders' ability because a lot of the work he did last year late in the season, they were not nationally televised games. Those were games with Boston Scott and Greg Ward and Josh Perkins and a bunch of also-ran players for the Eagles who were not expected to step up, who did. Miles Sanders was the best player in the field in every one of these games. Miles Sanders looks fantastic. And you know what's funny, Nate? We're talking about guys who didn't finish in the top 5. Neither one of us did put Saquon on this list. Let me ask you, as the last piece to this two-point conversing, are we sure Saquon has an even better season next year, or are we both saying there's a chance Saquon still doesn't finish in the top 5 in rushing yards?
Nah, Saquon's going to be in it. I mean, you got to be out your mind to think that that type of talent is going to fall outside the top 10.
Good poll question. Who will have more rushing yards next year? Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, or Saquon Barkley? And our final question here, Nate, let's take a serious tone here because we're talking about a serious topic. Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Here is the statement. The longer this thing drags on, the worse it is for the Dallas Cowboys heading into the 2020 season. Dak Prescott's contract situation. What do you say? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I believe so. It's like this contract is a black cloud looming over the early career of Dak Prescott. Seems like everybody else got what they want, right? They're signing guys on defense, DeMarcus Lawrence and Jalen Smith. Offensively, you got Amari Cooper getting a $100 million deal. You got Zeke and Cabo chilling, relaxing, and you see how that kind of caused the Cowboys to stumble out of the blocks. Like, why would you want to be in that situation right now? Why isn't there more effort? I mean, I know that we're social distancing, but Jerry, come on, man. Put on the face mask, hop on your private jet, sit down with Dak Prescott and get this deal done. You got to be out of your mind to let this linger, because if you let this linger too long, you'll be looking at the playoffs from your couch like we were last year.
I can't look at this like it's any other offseason, and I look at this in a bubble and in a vacuum. You're saying it's crazy for Jerry Jones to let this linger on. I think it's crazy for Dak Prescott and his representation for not just taking whatever offer is on the table. I hate to go dark here, but I think that the NFL and a lot of businesses across the country are not going to have the financial years and have the money they're willing to spend and wheel and deal in 2020 and 2021 that they did in 2019. There's an offer on the table for Dak Prescott. It's a very handsome offer. And I would imagine that the NFL across the board, the pot is going to get a little bit smaller over the next 6 months. And everyone's not going to be rushing to give quarterbacks $35, $36 million deals. I look at Dak Prescott here. I think this entire time this goes on, it's worse for Dak than it is for the Cowboys. Like I'm saying here, billionaires don't like losing football games. Billionaires do not like losing money. At this point, I hate to say it, I think Dak might want to accept what's on the table.
Yeah, if you look at the economy throughout our nation, I mean, even the global economy, it's almost like you got to give the Dallas Cowboys a hometown discount. We had this conversation a few months ago before things really got thick across the country with COVID-19. And I was like, you know what? That shouldn't affect how much money he's earned over the course of his career so far. But things have changed. I mean, things have changed. And I feel like maybe Dak should change the perspective. I kind of feel you on that one, Shrakes.
All right, that's it. We agree sometimes, but we'll see. Hopefully that's not the case. And Dak can make $40 million and everyone's happy. But you got to.
We're not posing for football cards. Let's play with some speed.
Hey, Tom, you like rock and roll?
Let's go Led Zeppelin.
F left, fake 99, toss crunch, naked right.
Oh! Shut the up.
Yeah!
God almighty, hey! Is this guy going? Hey, can I talk to somebody? That's 3 calls he's missed. Who is this guy? Let's throw some more bricks on the pile. Let's go. Come on, you're going to win this game for me. This is what you live for. Can you believe that?
Yeah! A John Gruden pep talk can be very powerful. Who knows that? Derek Carr. So when it came to hyping up his family's Madden League, he called the only man that can do a better Gruden than Gruden.
Chris Berman here, and of course, I'm doing the Carr family NFL draft, what used to be called a rotisserie league, but now, of course, fantasy football. According to my sources, at this particular time, it appears Derek Carr is poised to win another fantasy league championship, and he's drafting first because of his Super Bowl championship last year.
They gotta look at David, who lost the AFC championship. He lost to brother Darren, who eventually lost to Derek. But this is the kind of situation you're just looking to see. High risk, low reward, tremendous motor. I'm not really saying anything that means anything, but I'm using a lot of football terms.
Brandon, who lost to Derek in the NFC championship last year, is looking to possibly trade Aaron Rodgers. And then, of course, you have Austin, who is refusing to trade anyone. Say what you will, but the integrity's intact with this guy. And, of course, Tyler, who lost in the playoffs throwing 11 picks, had a bad situation, but not as bad as Bo, who had a tough year, going 3-13 all the way around.
I'll tell you what, man, in the end, this whole thing is going to be fun. I can't wait to see what happens, man.
We love Frank Caliendo here on the show. Peter, did my audio drop? Did I hear you wrong yesterday? Did you ask him to do that for Derek Carr?
Yeah, I that was not the question that I asked, but it was there. And you know what? I'm listening to this, and it's Chris Berman, it's Adam Schefter, it's Mel Kiper. Those aren't our guys. We're NFL Network. I need Caliendo to do some Good Morning Football imitations. If he wants to do Kay Adams, if he wants to do Nate Burleson, if he wants to do Kyle Brandt. Frank, you've been on the show. We direct message anytime anything happens. It's hilarious. Why don't you come on and do some imitations? And if you're not up for the task, I like the young guy,
Peter.
Joey Molinaro. He's on Twitter. He does a lot of good imitations. Joey, we'll take your imitations. We just want people to talk about us.
Yes, Molinaro is unbelievable. His Andrew Luck is fantastic. He does the funniest Jimmy Fallon impression I've ever heard. It's just him just going, it's so great that you're here, buddy. It's so great to see you. Like, it is, Molinaro is the next coming of Caliendo. But Caliendo's still the GOAT, though. And it's always funny, even if you don't hear him, just seeing Frank's face change and contort and go up and down when he's doing Gruden versus Kuiper, it's the best. But Molinaro's on my radar, too, Peter.
Molinaro's our show.
Yeah,
No doubt, no doubt. Caliendo, come on the show. We would love to have you. We need your content. You can do every impression. You can do every sport, all right? We need you to come back on, man. We love